output. Go. Sweet. We're good. They're going to interview later on. I gotta see at least ad break. Like while you guys are on ad break, I'm going to finish journaling real quick. Ah, Discord. I need. Verify all of that. $27 minutes. Have a pull. Spot. Cool. So I do have it pulled up as we prepare, but real quick, I apologize for everybody watching. I do finish. I'm on my last prompt. Yeah, I'll do the intro right after. Sorry, guys. Again. Again, brah. And I turn to Act 2. Yeah, cool. Done journeying. I do lots of journey. Hell of a lot. So I have to do it all. Prompts that. I try to do which is had to get done now. Do some Path of Exile. Specifically, we can start this. So, yes, here we go. What's up, guys? It's Fias here. Back with some Path of Exile 2 stream. Hopefully everything is going all right for you guys. I'm going to real quick I'm going to unplug my pin. That only actually affects my microphone for you guys, but that now is fixed. I get a little bit of feedback every once in a while coming cable. I'm not quite sure why, but doesn't matter. It's okay. I'm just going to kind of suffer through every once in a while. I just unplug and replug it back in. But either way, hope everybody is having a great, fantastic summer. I have got my journaling done. I'm going to be doing this. We've got a big announcement from GGG today. Weird because it's on a Sunday, but I think in New Zealand time. Right? So it's 9 a.m. on Monday for them right now. So 9:30 a.m. their time is the announcement comes, and then 10 a.m. their time interview happens. So specifically for us, that's 2:30 CT and 3 o'clock CT. So hopefully we will be able to get on, and I'm probably gonna watch all of that, get through that all. But for right now, I'm going to continue my Path of Exile stream, get through a little bit more, and then we'll kind of go from there. What we want to kind of do right now, probably get through this zone, maybe one more zone, and then we'll go to watching the announcement. From the announcement, we will go to we will go to Ghazzy. I'm interviewing Nathan. I'm very excited to see what the announcement is, because it is a 0.1.1, which we are on 0.1.0, but we are on, I believe, right? I'm on 2. I don't want fix that. I believe are on literally trying to fix what we are on. So we're on 1.0, right? So we're actually going to 1.1 patch. So like with Path of Exile, right, you get what I don't even remember what the last announced regular Path of Exile. That's how long. Where is like that? So we're on 3.25, right? That's our current patch for regular Path of Exile. So a point X patch. Sure, literally. So a 0.1 patch is pretty nice, because 0.1 patches, they're not hotfix patches, they're actual updates to the game. Kind of cool. So we'll see exactly when that's coming, how long it take, all that stuff. Kind of excited about it, because I I've been listening to some of the complaints and everything else. I would really like to see what happens there, what, and they clamp down on there, like, hey, this is or we're going to see the next class at something like they actually just, hey, like, we're gonna release the next class, or hey, we're gonna release all these ascendancy. You know, we don't know what exactly is coming from that. However, it, like that, it's, you know, it's kind of it. We're gonna plan for a half hour. A half hour is a decent amount of time. So let us, as I just lose my cap for my water, let's go kill a boss quick. Go kill a quick boss within this zone. Kind of see how far we can make. I'm greatly because kind of interesting. So like, it didn't change, but if we like, hey, you recognize these things, and it will be kind of be interesting, kind of how it's aligned, right? Because I think everybody was kind of more expecting instead of actual patch. Hey, like we're making another hot fix. Checkpoint. Those were more hot fix. So it'll be that means that they were. I also have a feeling another more ascending. The point, like point patches, 0.2 patch, I could see us kind of stuff. Yeah, we're actually classic. I don't foresee happening with the plane, but because if we think software, if we put our software cap on, a 0.1 patch is something that you add features into fixing goofy come in form of a point, not a point 0.0, right? Not you kind of see updates, so we'll have to. I think one thing that I really want to see change, this is my honest answer, is crafting. I think that right now the crafting, it feels really bad to stay with the craft. And no one like touches on it, no one talks about it, because if you're, unless you're soul self-found or like a Chad, right? You're not really in it, so not a huge kind of a only or Definitely. Not a great aim.
Up there, the leader.
I died right away. Howdy.
Wither away!
Oh, that reaction time, my reaction time is up. I was just actually talking to our friends and I was telling them that I am going to do something crazy out in Colorado. I am going actual Boston Marathon qualifying. Well, it's my stretch goal. I shouldn't say stretch goal. My marathon is a Boston. Very, very hard. But I fight for it. Is literally just that it is the Boston Marathon. So the Boston Marathon is only 30,000 people are allowed in, period. After that, there's a cutoff. So specifically, the reason why it's a big deal is if you get a qualifying time for men 2026, for the Boston 2026, it's 2 hours and 55 minutes is how fast you have to marathon. But that does not even guarantee you a spot in the Boston. Faster you run, like, so if you get a 2 hour and 55 minute, but the 29,999th person or the 3,001st person that submits a time gets faster than you, you're kicked out. So technically, just run as fast as you possibly can. So if you run as fast as you possibly can, you can get in. It's all based off of that. It's all based off of how fast can. And that's why it's quote unquote difficult. Because even if you qualifying time, you could still not end up.
A roving village.
The beast eyes. Do whatever it takes.
Who goes there? I only hope warm nights.
This Not time to kill them all.
which so to put it into perspective, the qualifying time, the cutoff time for your pace per mile average on a 26.2 is 6 minutes and 41 seconds. So you need to be running a 6 minute 41 second at minimum 6 minute 41 second mile average across the whole marathon. And also only specific runs are Boston qualifiers too. So like there's certain marathons that are not considered Boston qualifier eligible. So you have to find the run, you have to do good in the run, and you have to qualify.
Do not wander.
And yes, have to.
I will tell your tale.
You have to be going. Like I was, like right now, I'm trying to figure out, okay, what is it that I can just improve my current pace per mile so that I can actually do it. Because right now, I don't know if I can. But I will say it's my stretch goal. My like actual goal for my marathon now that here is under 10 minute per mile. What I'm shooting for is so which is about a 4-hour ish run, 4-hour ish marathon.
I will tell your
Which
tale.
isn't bad.
Take your time.
No. If I can qualify it, I don't really want to start the next zone because we're going to have a
Tune it up, Drewski. Say nothing, Joe.
we're gonna meet the crap out of that. Absolutely.
Money. Step back.
Mute. Okay. Well, I'm actually going to exit Path of Exile because we have a live stream going on. Prime. I'm literally just going to do this so I don't get ads during. I literally only did that just so that I don't get ads. Okay.
Okay, reading through the questions one more time. You do the intro, icebreaker, I ask the follow-ups, then we go back and forth. After talking about what they released, then we get into the state ofs, trade, in-game league mechanics, state of maps, elements, ascendancies, HP, ES armor, map sizing, checkpoints, build variety, meta, pinnacle bosses.
If I knew that was just gonna be DM stream, I would have just gone to DM and I would have just given the sub to him, honestly. So
Alright,
as far
I'll
as
say
my
it one
first
last
Dark Souls
time,
video,
just in case this ends up happening for the people that are watching.
as far as the first Dark Souls video, I am two things. I have 2 bosses down. I want to get 5 down, but I have a backlog to be released. So I was planning on recording one today and I found to it. I'm going to try and record one at some point this week. And then going into next, I'm going to try and record the last 3 so that then I can start editing all 3 of those or all 5 videos, prep them, get them out. So that's kind of where we're at. So I would say within the next like 2 weeks, I'll be releasing them, and hopefully I'll have a backlog that I can just.
There will be a VOD of this on YouTube. Obviously, the Twitch VOD will be here too. On Ghazzy's YouTube channel, he will publish the video afterwards. It's hosted here, and then it goes to his YouTube VODs. There is currently a storm in Alaska because I am stuck in this terrible place. That is happening, and my power's flickered 3 times. So in the scenario of the power going out here, and of course, no other day but today have I had any storms. If that happens, you can watch it on Ghazzy's TV's channel. The main PoE channel is restreaming my stream. So if my stream goes down, their stream's going to go down. So you would have to go to Ghazzy in that scenario, and then he would carry on the interview from there. That's everything. Starts in 2 minutes. Thanks all for.
I'm very
here.
excited
We'll
for
do our
this
best not to-
this interview slash this
Good luck with that.
this interview slash this patch video. The fact that there's going to be a video tells me that this is actually quite large, which is kind of exciting.
Deep breath.
You nervous?
No,
Yeah.
not really. Like, we've done it a few times with, especially with these guys as well.
Yeah.
Not really nervous. It's always a lot
Also,
of
the other
pressure
reason why I want to be a
coming
little
from
ahead
that
is
we make
just
sure
so
the
that
community's heard.
I have.
That's the only, I'm not
I'm
like,
still trying to like
not
get a
nervous,
schedule of like
but
recording bosses,
concerned that
and
we're not
that
gonna
has
be able
been
to do this
tough.
justice.
So
I mean, pretty much all the questions are from the community.
so that's a big
Yeah,
so
so we're doing everything we can and then some.
But my stream schedule is changing
1
too.
minute.
I'm not gonna be streaming
Remember, mute
on
your mic when we go
Thursdays
over.
anymore. I will be streaming on
Videos so we don't
Fridays
talk over it.
only because I am gonna be golfing. Most likely, I'm going to be doing golf practice on Thursday.
Okay, 1 minute. T-minus 1 minute, boys.
Check Discord.
Okay. Oh, also, there will be, after the video release in 40 seconds, there's going to be like a 5-minute downtime while we get technical stuff set up. So it's going to be on like black screen, just so you guys know, for a few minutes. But that's like pretty normal. So just heads up. For the
All right, 30 seconds till we see
Okay.
patch, baby.
25 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. As soon as I play the video here in 10 seconds, you're going to need to let me know. I will have to open the chat for this here. You guys are going to need to let me know how the audio is. Okay, if it needs to go up or down, just as a heads up. Okay, with that being said, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and here we go. Muting mic.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Rogers, Game Director on Path of Exile 2. Well, we're back from our break. We've been playing the game a whole lot, and we've been reading a whole lot of feedback as well. So it's time to assess and work out what we're going to do next. Now, later this week we'll be releasing PoE 2 0.1.1. This is a patch designed to address the concerns that we can address relatively quickly, without needing to create a new league or a new economy just yet. In this video, we'll be going over some of the issues we've identified, and what we're planning on doing about them. It's worth stressing that just because a specific issue isn't on this list doesn't mean that we're not aware of it or that it isn't going to get addressed. It just means that we either can't
Okay,
fix the problem
if
quickly,
that's the
or we
case, I
can't
just
do so
need
without
to.
the need for a new
It's my
economy.
manual filters that are
One of
messed
the
up.
major
I'll have
areas
to
that
fix
needs
them.
a lot of attention is the base experience of mapping. We've made a lot of changes here. First, in-game maps have received a balance pass to the number of monsters, number of chests, number of magical rare monsters, number of essences, strongboxes, and precursor artifacts. You should generally find maps more rewarding than before. Maps generally specialize in one or more of these elements that they will be particularly rewarding in. Now, towers are a thing that's very important for players to run often, but we only had one of them. We wanted to add more variety here as soon as possible, so we've added 4 more tower maps. Alpine Ridge, Sinking Spire, Bluff, and Mesa. We've also redone the existing Lost Towers map to make playing there less boring. We're now also spawning more maps with bosses. The rate was intended to be 1 in 4 maps, but in reality the rate was much lower due to some maps being unable to spawn bosses. We've increased the rate to compensate for this issue so that we can get the actually intended rate. We're also adding a new type of tablet that allows you to add bosses to your maps with its own mod pool.
That'll be nice. That'll be
Strongboxes also needed some love. They now spawn monsters faster, have a less annoying fog effect, and have also received changes to the timings and effects of the mods on them. Now, let's talk about visibility of effects. Many maps had too much clutter, preventing effects on the ground from rendering, causing you to be unable to see and dodge them. We've both changed the level of clutter on some maps, and changed some effects to make sure that they are always visible. In addition, elemental explosion effects have had visibility improved. Stick around for longer before they explode, and disappear without exploding if a rare monster dies. Volatile
good.
plants are also way easy to see before they explode. Now we've also increased the zoom level on the Atlas, done a pass on various terrain collision issues in many maps. We've also improved the load times of opening the world map and Atlas panel. And we also now show the biome of a map on the hover for it. For other in-game content systems, we're focusing on getting all the rewards in line with what they should be. For Delirium, we recently fixed a bug which caused Delirium monsters to just not spawn after the starting part. And we've also buffed the rate of simulacrums dropping by 20% to make it more in line with the rate of finding the Expedition and Ritual bosses. For Ritual, we've made Omens now appear in the Ritual Tribute window 60% more often. For Expedition, we've improved the rarity from the shops, but we'll be wanting to make some more substantial changes to the rewards for this league later on. Now, one of the major concerns that we're often seeing is that getting to play Pinnacle content just takes too long, and that when you do finally get there, you only get one attempt and don't get a chance to learn the boss. In order to address these concerns, we're making the following changes. First, we're making the Citadel spawn closer to the center of the Atlas, and we've also added an effect so you can see them in the fog of war from further away. This makes them much easier to find. To address the problem of only
That's
having one
insanely
attempt,
better.
on the Arbiter of Ash, you will now get up to 6 respawn attempts. Respawns can only be triggered by the person who put in the keys, and everyone in your party will be respawned at the same time. Leaving the map still forfeits your attempt, so you'll
God,
still
that
need to
looks
fight
like
the
a cool
with no one
boss.
walked into the map with. Higher difficulties of the boss will lower the number of respawn attempts you get, but you should know the mechanics of the fight by then, right? Now, we'll also be adding respawns to other Pinnacle content as well over time. Another thing that players have noticed is that there are less keys from Faradin Citadels on the market, and thought that it was because the Citadel spawns less often. It turns out though that this is just because the boss kills players more often than the others. We've made a few changes to that boss to bring it in line with the other bosses. A lot of people have reported that many of our unique items are feeling underwhelming. Uniques are often designed to be build enabling at high levels, even if they're low level uniques. But we realize that we do need to make sure that more uniques feel powerful when you first get them at low levels too. In this patch, we are buffing a lot of uniques. These changes should make finding uniques at lower levels a lot more
That'll
fun,
be nice.
and make subsequent character playthroughs more fun too, when you have some great uniques to use. We're also changing a few other things to make finding rares better at higher levels too. First, we're changing mod weightings a bit to make sure that there are less bad mods. Another fix is making high tier items no longer cull the highest tier modifier of a given mod type. This bug caused bows and crossbows to not spawn with attack speed at tier 5 rarity, and rings to not spawn with life at tier 5 rarity. Another change we're making is to make it so that socketables such as runes can now be overwritten with another socketable. Now, as we can see,
Zizarin is
we still find
so
many
happy.
balance anomalies with specific monsters or bosses that can be nasty if you encounter them. This patch contains a pass adjusting a large number of those monsters and bosses. We'll save the full list for the patch notes, but there are a significant number of changes here that should address many cases where monsters or bosses felt too hard in certain circumstances. Here are a few examples to get a taste of what kind of changes you can expect. The Silverfist Commander roll now does a lot less damage. Plague Bearers Detonate Dead can no longer be used from off-screen and has better telegraphing. Forsaken Miners throw less grenades, have improved visuals, and deal less damage. and Lost Men Zealots can no longer meteor you from off-screen either, as well as many other
Thank
changes
God.
just like those. One of the big issues for players on consoles is that the web-based item filter system is currently not working. This means that they can't use item filters like the PC users can. For 0.1.1 will be enabling the same system that PoE 1 has, which allows you to subscribe to item filters on the website. For now, this will be done on the PoE 1 website to allow us to get this feature out as fast as possible. Later on, we'll improve the user experience of this and put it on the Path of Exile 2 website. This patch also contains a bunch of other smaller changes and bug fixes that I'm sure you guys will appreciate, like buffing armor and scavenged plating, showing the number of uses left in your charms, as well as an effect when they trigger,
The song of the exiles.
fixing the music that Una was supposed to play in town,
I wonder why she never played music.
and plenty of other little fixes and improvements throughout the game. Now, we have a huge amount of much more meta-shifting changes that we know we want to make. And one of the best things about having the game in early access with the endgame is that we now have a much better idea of where we want character power to be and what the balance of bosses and monsters should be relative to that. But those types of changes are going to have to wait until we are ready to make a new league with a new economy for people to play in. That's still a little while away yet, but in the meantime we'll be continuing to identify things that are causing frustration and try and address them. I want to thank you guys for playing and hope to be doing more of these in the future. Later.
Huh. Interesting. Okay.
All right, so there you have it. Pretty awesome. We are now going to call them, get them ready for the interview. So we're going to go to a screen here that is a be right back type of screen here. You will hear no audio, and it will just be a blank screen for probably 5-10 minutes at the highest. And now we're going to do an interview about what we just saw. So give us 1 moment here.
I am wondering why it's that though, as far as threshold, because I'm wondering, because what I can do I don't want to lower my noise gate too much. My compressor I know is good. Because it more, so what that would be is actually my noise gate then that's doing that, but I will have to take a look. Take a look see. Because what that means is the gate is closing before a word like that is at a lower decibel actually gets out. I actually have to set up some audio stuff for races. They have her the organization she volunteers for. So we're trying to figure out like essentially what the organization needs for like audio and video and all that stuff, because they're going to try and do trainings that are like live virtual. And I was like, well, until you get to like these insane qualities of until you're like doing really insane quality video, like camera quality video, just use a webcam on a laptop. I was like, there's no reason to not just use a laptop webcam, because honestly, until you're using an actual like camera, your video is gonna be shit. So I was like, you need to focus on your audio. And so I've been trying to teach them a little bit about audio. Oh, here we go.
Of audio now. Hello everybody. So here we are. Let's just real quick, now that we have the audience here, I'm gonna have Jonathan one more time say something real quick just to make sure they can hear us well, and we'll get feedback from the chat.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Rogers, Game Director on Path of Exile 2.
Thanks, sir. Mark.
Hi, I'm Mark. Hello, this is me speaking, and I didn't want to say the same thing he said.
You can.
All right, and then lovely co-host Ghazzy here.
Lovely co-host. Mic check. 1 2 3. 1 2 3.
Excellent. So with that being said, Ghazzy, why don't you take it away with the intros?
Hi, welcome to Tavern Talk episode. We still have no idea what episode we're on, and we're going to keep up with that trend. We have with us my lovely co-host, Darth Microtransaction, and the lovely two individuals that is basically the OGs at this point. We got Mark and Jonathan from Path of Exile 2 Grinding Gear Games. How are you guys doing?
Oh, doing great. I mean, it's really good to get back into things again. We had a good break, yeah, I don't know. It's just nice to be back and actually looking at the problems again, as much as, it can be painful sometimes. But it's really good to get back into things.
Yeah, disconnected for a little bit. Not too long, but just a little bit, and now back, which is awesome. But no, it was a long burn last year, so it was good to get a little bit of a break over that Christmas. But yeah, lots to address, lots to change. Excited.
It seems like with the break, you guys still managed to get a lot of changes in from the review video we saw. It's fairly substantial, so that's exciting.
I mean, that is for the most part just stuff that we did, last week and this week. The maps, the extra 4 maps, some of those did have some work that was done a little earlier, but for them because we knew we needed more towers and we just didn't get them in. But pretty much all that stuff is just stuff that we're just doing last week and this week. We try to move fairly quickly when we can. The thing now is of course
This team is insane. Like,
one issue we kind of realized we had
they
is,
just knock shit out so
the
fast.
problems people have right now, and how much do we concentrate on the next big kind of content patch? And so that's kind of the tricky thing we have to maneuver around at the moment. And I guess my feeling is that so long as there's big problems that are causing people to have a bad experience, I kind of want to make sure that those get addressed as soon as possible, at least where we can, so that we're making sure that things are in as best a state. We some kind of point of stability, so that we can concentrate on having the larger kind of content patch after that.
That's great to hear. So for this episode or this interview or whatever we're going to call it, we've done what we can to make sure that we let the community get their voices heard. So most of the questions we're going to go through is questions collected almost exclusively from the community. We have a couple of light, for some reason, questions and some warrior questions from Darth, and we have some minion questions as expected from my side of things. But most of the questions will be taken from the actual community. So I'm just going to kick us off so don't waste anyone's time. And we're going to start with a question saying, which of the changes that has been showcased was the team most excited to be able to announce?
Well, I guess that I'd say that these changes, obviously, while the players are happy with them, we're not exactly excited about them per se, because these are just fixes to things that are problems, right? So the stuff that we're excited about is the stuff we're not talking about, which is the content that's coming up in the in the larger one that'll have an economy reset and so on. So there's obviously a lot of stuff there, but for this stuff, it's just really okay, what can we do to make sure that people are having a good time? That's kind of the main thing I would say.
Yeah, which is exciting in its own.
Sure,
to see how much more we can improve, how many people having a good time. So,
So I mean, that's good, but yeah, really, it's there's no one thing there where we're oh yeah, this is the amazing thing. It's all just let's make the game not suck. That's kind of our main goal.
So one of the changes for in-game maps is the changes to, you mentioned monsters, chests, rare monsters. What impact are you guys hoping that this change specifically is going to have in in-game mapping?
Well, there's a couple things. It is just a general, probably 30% more kind of monsters, items, etc. from inherent maps. You get the thing where now the inherent map is higher value, and thus proportionately the league is less impactful, say Breach, which is obviously in its own universe of craziness right now. But the idea is the base map is more rewarding, and thus adding the extra content is less necessary for, say, map sustain. The other thing is it will interact with different rolled maps differently. So we tried to do this better before early access began, but again, it should be now. Certain maps and certain mods that increase the chests, the rarity of chests, the rarity of monsters will have different benefits. So that's kind of cool that I want people to learn that over time and see what's beneficial, or what multiplies better, and then you combine those things where you have this map's better for number of monsters, whereas this map's worse for number of monsters. because they're multipliers. So like a really small map versus a really large map. Actually, before they were relatively consistent. Now that large map might have twice as many monsters as that small map, but it has the same density of monsters. So you don't just have big open empty spaces of nothing. So obviously now the number of packs, if you multiply that up, it has a much grander effect on the big map than it does the small map. But the small map is
Wondering when this actually will be ready though, because they didn't
so
say.
If you're optimizing for bossing, you're probably going to try and have the be applying more bosses to small maps using the new tablet. Or if you're doing leagues that, you know, more like Breach, you might want smaller maps that way because you're focusing on just farming breaches as opposed to, say, Delirium, or say Expedition favors, it doesn't really care if the map is large or small. So, you know, having those different kind of axes is really interesting, where you are thinking about that as you go. Now, people have to learn that, and that's cool. I actually want people to learn that and kind of post all their details on, like, this map's really good and this map isn't, and we've accounted for layouts, how fast they are to clear, all of that stuff. So certain maps that were more tedious to clear now have pretty drastic advantages on at least one or two different axes. So they might have a higher number of minimum monsters, rare monsters.
By the way,
higher spawn rate of rare monsters, magic monsters, rare
someone else
chests,
is here.
who knows?
By the way, Blake, do you know when you guys will hear about the apartment?
When you're just in development and you're not on a real character, like, is this map actually fun or not, right? And the end game is we've got the least amount of testing, so it really did require, like, okay, some actual proper play and be like, okay, is this map, to really answer the question of is this map good or not? So now when we see that, then we can be like, okay, we need to make this change or that change in order to sort it out. So there's just been a lot of just like sanding off all the rough edges that in-game had by virtue of the fact that it just really wasn't as tested as what the campaign was. Go on.
That all being said, I'd say one thing it has introduced is it has added more bad luck or mistake protection to some degree, because if you would like fully juice a really small bad map, that minimum of bad is now much higher. And so, like, you all of a sudden now have invested all this wealth into this bad map. You've run it, and you're like, "What the? I didn't get anything back from it." So, the minimum is certainly now much better, which should hopefully protect a lot of people who are falling out of map sustain. Whereas, like, a lot of the good players who are a bit more observant, a bit more familiar with PoE1, were just like happily sustaining maps. And so, yeah, you had these two ends of the
that's
spectrum,
usually
and
how
hopefully
those
we've
things
raised the
go.
minimum now with these changes.
So 2 follow-up questions.
They usually always
question
ask
for
for
Leon,
that.
Since we're talking about bad maps in particular, something you mentioned here. What is your guys' opinion on the current state of maps in the game? Not so much from a monster point of view, but of a layout of maps. So there are some maps people don't like as much. There are ones people really do like as much. Is your opinion that you need maps, for instance, like Mire, Augury, Vow Factory? These are some of the least favorable maps. Do you think you need maps like this in the game in order to more appreciate the more common ones people enjoy? Or what's your stance currently on the map amount of variety that are in the game, put that way?
I guess ideally, like, if there have been a few adjustments to things like that. Probably not, like, we're not necessarily going to take every map people find annoying and change it, like, so that people don't in that way. But certainly there should be balance changes to make it so that they feel at least worthwhile, even if they do have some more annoying layout or something like that. So I mean, I assume you feel the same way about that.
There's some standout things. Like, obviously, you shouldn't have the levers that you just can't dodge roll out of and you just die, or the levers are just spawning burning ground on them, right? Obviously, this stuff is just objectively wrong and objectively bad, and that will be fixed. But a lot of that contributes to, like, this is the worst map because you'll go pull a lever and die while doing so. And then there's the ones that, yes, are just, like, inherently worse layouts, especially for certain builds.
Yeah.
But then, again,
I know,
using
like,
this other thing
kind
where
of
it's like, actually,
criteria
well,
that
those maps may now spawn the
places-
most amount of rare monsters or the most
places
magic
accept
monsters,
and
or just
decline
the
on,
most
right?
amount of monsters. You're gonna have to go
So
figure some of
they
that
accept
stuff
and
out.
decline on
And some
income.
people might like
That's
that.
the
People
biggest
with
thing.
less,
Like, they
screen
expect you
clearing AoE
to be
centric builds probably
30%.
don't mind some
30.
indoor, more mazy
I can't.
maps if
Well,
they're
it
getting
depends
the
on the
benefit or
place.
feel like they're getting
But,
the
like,
benefit from,
for the most part, they want to see that
more rare monsters.
the
They've got more
amount of
single target or
rent
more
only
concentrated
costs
DPS or whatever. They don't feel
1/3
so bad
of
now
your
for running
total
that, as
combined
opposed to just
income.
running the, sand spit where you
So
can
that's
just,
like
nuke
one of the
entire screens
things.
every
The bad
2
case
seconds.
of this, though, is
The
definitely the
other
tower
thing
map,
is
because,
they're
people
usually
kind of, like,
looking
you
at,
mandatorily
like,
have to run
previous
that map.
landlord, like,
And so
did you
doing
have a good
that not
relationship?
great
Were
is,
you
like, not a
evicted?
good
All that kind of
situation.
stuff.
So, hopefully we've addressed that one.
And then
That
the
was
other
really
thing
urgent
is
to
they're
address, 'cause, like,
looking at job
it's
history.
mandatory, right? You
They're
can't
making
just do
sure
it.
that, like, you have
So, that one has to
decent
be-
job history,
Turns
so
out
that
it's
you're
maybe
not going
a
to,
good
like,
thing where you have to approach a
move
room
into
full
this
of monsters that
apartment
you don't know what
like
they
that.
are,
You
and
didn't
it's
just
super
get a
dangerous and you
job
can't see them, and it's a
recently
narrow
to
bottom
move
deck and
into
you
an
have to run
apartment, and then you're going to quit as soon as you move into that apartment, and then you're going to end up being a
version of that map is
what are they called?
The top floor tiles.
Not a vagrant.
Like it's easier to deal with. So,
squatter. They don't want you to end up being a squatter or something. Those are the only things they're looking at.
Still they're still relatively narrow here and there, but yeah, much better to clear.
So one more follow-up here, and I'll pass it off to Ghazzy. In the reveal, you mentioned that the boss maps, for instance, were supposed to be more common than they actually were. And so this comes to a very common question about Waystone's Sustain. So what was your opinion on the state that previously was with Waystone's Sustain, as well as do you believe this impact of additional bosses are obviously going to impact Waystone's Sustain? So you think this is going to help alleviate some of the feedback we've seen related to there?
That one's pretty interesting because, and this is probably going to be a controversial thing to say, but like we don't know that there necessarily is a problem with Waystone Sustain as such. So that means we have to look into, if people say that there is, and that means we have to understand why that is, because I don't think that's the experience that like we're having as we're playing ourselves. And like, so there's always this thing where it's like we want to hear what the players say, but then we always want to confirm with our own experience that like when we do what they're doing, that we're getting the same experience before we can kind of make a good decision of what a change would be. So I don't know that we've identified why it is yet that players are having problems with Waystone Sustain, and so that's like, and this will change this obviously because there's more bosses and so on. Like that's the thing you're doing. Killing bosses will give you upgrades and so on. Like that'll help with that. But I guess I sort of like I feel like we need to understand that problem more before we can really work out what exactly needs to happen with it.
There's certainly more to learn there, but as I said before, the minimum's now higher.
Yeah.
Sure. So it can be just people running into bad specific maps.
Technically, like some
I suspect it's also
places will be like, oh, it's
and like
so, and that's the other thing is it's only the rent. That is the only thing that they care about you paying. Like the other shit, like utilities, all that stuff, that like they don't. Like that's like extra. So even like that 1/3 thing, it's only the rent. It's not anything to do with the utilities. It's not anything to do with parking spots. It's not anything to do with like you guys having an account, deposit, all that stuff. Like it's super weird how they do all the math and all that. But yeah, I'm sure you guys will be fine.
Of my own, I try and I'm gonna see how it is for myself, and
and they also look at your pre-tax income, so which is weird as well, but that is what they look at.
We need to look at this from a much broader perspective, but either way, what we've just put forward is an improvement to all of that. Higher maximum, sure, higher minimum.
We were obviously, you saw that we were in the area yesterday.
But what it doesn't really account for right now is safety.
We were at Micro Center as well. And we were just saying like even when you guys are like if you guys ever want to move from that area, we were like oh, that area in St. Louis Park there by Micro Center is probably a pretty good area to move to too.
It means that you don't get a chance to find the gear.
I think that'll be more when you're
as you went through those tiers.
When you're in the engineering field more.
You might be playing higher tier maps than what you really should be playing for the amount of like wealth that you found, and that means that your map sustain is bad because you're dying more often because you're kind of playing higher tier content, and that is on us because we like need to adjust that so that you only start effectively in order to progress up the tiers. It needs to be more that we need to sort of gear check you more as you go up a little bit to make sure that you've got the gear you need before you're going up the tiers. But this is going to be a really subtle and tricky thing to get exactly right. Like there's quite a lot to that, and that's kind of more of a thing that we can sort of look at over a bit of a longer period of time because it's going to require some adjustments. But yeah, that's just sort of another one. But there's quite a lot of implications to all of that, and I don't know that we're quite ready to like understand exactly what would need to happen for that to happen. But that is kind of one of the issues that we're seeing is just like, yeah, effectively people playing content that's harder than what we would hope they would be playing for the gear that they have, which then causes the deaths, which causes the sustain to be bad. So that's kind of that issue there.
Thanks for the detailed answer. I'll throw it off to Ghazzy for the next questioner.
Yeah, next in line, we're actually going to circle back to what you mentioned, Mark, regarding Expedition, not caring about the layout and whatnot, but you also mentioned, I believe it was in the video, right? You mentioned more substantial changes to Expedition coming later. So the question is,
I mean, you only have so much money, right?
These things you're hoping
so
with this mechanic.
That's how I always phrase it, but also then I still go and buy stuff even when I only have so much money. Like right now, I'm
Sort
looking
of. I'd
at
say, without
buying
promising it,
more
because we
audio
were
and
allowed to
video
make
equipment.
exceptions.
So
It is kind of intended that every league provides some sort of access of character or crafting power that is abnormal, and so, you know,
Different that you can't get
yeah,
anywhere
different.
else.
Mostly character power here. So aside from the unique items, obviously they can, or sometimes don't, provide character power that can be attained elsewhere. This is more about something else that's, you know, similar to say the instilling your amulet with a notable. You know, it's something that only that provides. It gives you more power than you would have had if you had never done it. And so ideally, every league would kind of do something like that, or provide a crafting avenue that would then give you something like that, or give you more power in general. But yeah, we just kind of have the vendor mechanic where you can do some crafts, and none of those crafts are abnormal. They're not adding extra benefits or mods or anything outside of that. So yeah, we have intention to add something to that, and probably to a lot more of them over time. And as you get new ones that each obviously have this thing in mind, where we're trying to say, how can we make characters feel a little bit more powerful by engaging in that content? But yeah, Expedition just didn't quite get it when we ported it over. Like, you know, we discussed heaps of things, like we could add some more ROG crafts, so to speak, now that, even though it's now 3 out of 4 of them crafts.
It definitely needs
you know,
something else. Like,
yeah,
for sure.
it just needs something cool, something better, and something not rushed. Which is we were in a position where we were going to rush something, and it's like, hold on, let's not do that. Let's get it right and do it a bit later.
Fair. I like that take. Another question we have is regarding the Arbiter of Ash now having 6 resurrection or revive attempts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And other attempts to, or adding other attempts to other pinnacles over time. I guess the question comes down to why wait with adding extra attempts?
Ultimately, the reason is just time. So it might even be that in the patch that we do deliver, that some of those other ones are already done. It's just that because the video had to be made last week, and like we were like, are we gonna, like, we knew we would get time to sort out the Arbiter, and we were like, we don't know if we're gonna get time to do the others, so we'll just like promise that one, and then if the others come, then that's just a bonus. Yeah, effectively, there's like a little bit of trickiness around each one to like just work out all the states of everything. Like, I mean, if you're looking at like just as a random example, and this isn't obviously that big of a deal, but it's just, you know, someone has to do it, is like for the breach one, for example, we have to decide like, okay, so we can't really let you have the economy, like you can't reset the whole map because then you'd get the drops from the breach a second time. So then it's like, okay, we have to make sure we put a checkpoint in the thing, and that means you have to like do someone has to go write some code to like make the breach thing work correctly for checkpoints, and you know, it's just like random stuff like that, just little details that just mean that like it'll take a little bit longer to do those other ones. But I mean, we're not talking a really long time, right? We're just like, someone will get to it in the next couple of weeks. It's just, you know,
I'd say King in the Mist. King in the Mist will almost certainly be done because it's an isolated boss fight in a room with nothing else going on. But for the logbook and for the breach one, you have to have some manual intervention, and we have to really make sure that there's none of that, like, you know, respawn at checkpoint at this exact point in time, and all of a sudden you get the loot again kind of thing going on, because that obviously can be quite destructive.
So yeah, it's literally just a time thing. As I said, we'll do it in the next couple of weeks, just as we, you know, get these things going.
Yeah.
Awesome. Speaking of Arbiter, a couple questions related to Citadels here, just some fast ones.
Mm-hmm.
Are Copper Citadels really the same spawn rate as all the others? That's what happened?
I mean, we generated a bunch of Atlas state and checked that they were equivalent. I mean, I don't know what to so we really were not intending to make a Monopoly game, McDonald's Monopoly game style thing here. It really was intended to be equal. So yeah, as far as we could tell, it was just the just that the boss had that exploding minion thing that like was the damage just busted on that?
Nah, well, maybe, but all of his little attached zombies, like during the phase 1 of the fight, when he summons the sandstorm and you get protected, and you have the zombies coming at you, they blow up after they die. And in the map version, the endgame version of this fight, some logic was missing. I don't know what happened, and those would then explode at the end of the phase 2. So you're like, oh, I killed him, you run in to get your loot, and 8 zombies just explode and insta-kill you. And so what you found is a whole bunch of people were just straight up, like, succeeding at the fight and then just dying straight afterwards. So that accounted for some portion of it. And then he was just harder. Certainly the death rate, even excluding the one-shotting zombies, was just much, much higher than the other 2. But yeah, we have now a cheat that generates or simulates generating, like, I think it's 1 billion different blocks, and calculates how many of every map spawned and everything like that, just to test this specific Citadel case, and yeah, everything we could find generates exactly the correct amount of the 3 things. So
speaking
the
of
3 Citadels.
Speaking of spawning citadels, did you guys happen to catch any of the conspiracy theories related to, corpses pointing in directions, etc.?
It was so ridiculous. Whatever. People come up with crazy things. I don't know. Yeah,
all right.
I could tell you. I see. The thing is, I'm tempted to actually do something weird like that now, just to just to bait the conspiracies. But yeah, no, there was nothing. There was nothing weird going on.
It's just RNG. Like you have to. I did catch
it's
in
just
the video.
RNG. That's all it is.
It said closer to the cinders, so there is something to being farther away from your spawn point.
So, but basically, all that is literally just that there where you start, there's just a radius you have to get to before they start spawning. But after that point, it's just they just spawn the same rate. And we just moved it closer just because since you can't really tell like where the that's like not obvious, right? And the main thing we want to do there is just not have a citadel spawn like right next to where you start, because that'd be ridiculous. Yeah, effectively we just shrunk that down a bit because it was a little bit large. And then the other thing as well is that now that you can see them in the fog, it actually makes them so much easier to find. That we actually intended, we were like, oh yeah, we're going to totally buff the number of these that there are. But after we made the change to seeing them in the fog, it was gonna be like, oh shit, there's actually tons of these everywhere. We just weren't seeing them before. Yeah. It's seeing them makes a big difference.
Oh.
Okay, so moving on, off the topic of Arbiter instead of those here.
I need to text this in the group.
Less bad mods on mobs. Can we get some more detail?
Sorry, it wasn't mobs that I think, because it was in the item section and maybe you misheard that slightly, but
maybe
the bad mods thing was talking about items. So effectively, there's some stuff going on here. So effectively what we did, because a lot of people were talking about issues with higher tier rares as you get to harder content. And effectively, when we sort of looked into this, we sort of worked out like there were some anomalies around like what happens when mods get cut out on the lower levels, just based on kind of like somewhat random things about like how many top tier mods there are of certain types and things like that. So what we've done is it's not like huge changes, but we've kind of effectively done things like I think accuracy went down a little bit, and there was like I can't remember the other change.
Accuracy went down, life on kill, mana on kill, on weapons at least.
Yeah.
We're looking at
attributes on hybrid gear.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the hybrid gear attributes.
Travel to the airport from
effectively
in September. So we were trying to figure that out. Me and Grace
are. It
are.
wasn't actually necessarily as big of a deal as what people might have assumed, but because it wouldn't have affected that many items. But
of how to get everybody to the airport.
For example, it was just impossible on a T5
because we need to get 9 people. Which by the way, Mr. Blake, we are 90% positive that your sister is going, because she's going to have us pay for her ticket, and then she's going to pay us back, it sounds like.
Talking about like high-end, like high-tier stuff. So we'll just sort of see how that works out. The adjustments are not like mega, but they are there, and they should sort of improve things, I think, a little bit.
And just for clarity's sake for the viewers, when you say top tier, like tier 1, you actually mean like tier 12 or whatever the top tier is, right? Because tier 1 technically is the worst.
Sorry, yeah, it's so annoying that we have like tiers going reverse.
Yeah.
I wish I could get a limo.
But yes, what I mean is whatever the top tier of that mod is, in some cases it was getting cut.
We're literally trying to figure out like how can we cram as many people into an Uber as possible. Like that's literally what we're trying to figure out. So
T1 item affixes, which is actually backwards, so I need to go and fix that after we've done this.
We also need to make this consistent everywhere and sort this tiered situation out.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. You guys are good.
It is sometimes very frustrating dropping something that has a high tier, but I don't know.
We do know that we are.
Like, is there something you guys are considering adding?
We're gonna kind of hound your sister coming February 1st. But we'll see what
relatively
happens.
Soon, but again, we need to also just figure out a little bit more around this, because we've got
the fact that you guys have booked your flight kind of tells us like that you're going, right?
Having
So
T1 mean the top one is because then if we add another one later, it changes what all the tiers are, and there was sort of some discomfort around that. But then maybe it's still better to just do that anyway. And like I don't know, that was the original thinking behind that, but whatever. Like it might be less confusing if T1 meant. No, because the thing is, the other thing as well is that map tiers are like the T1 is the bottom one again, and you certainly wouldn't want to reverse that. That would be weird. So yeah, I don't know. Like you should probably yeah, whatever. This is just a random small topic, but just one of those things.
Understood.
Yeah.
Speaking of items,
excuse me.
quality, one of the most requested additions, item filters, coming to console. So I'm sure many people are very excited about that.
Oh, that's
Speaking of
right. I need to look at that.
consoles, can we expect more quality of life things coming to console? For instance, I very commonly see asked for things like text, UI size, etc. Do you have any plans related to?
Oh, we can get item filters again.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly need to do more there. I mean, yeah, like I don't have any specific things to announce there, but effectively we need to make sure that that experience is good. And one thing that I know, this isn't actually technically a console thing, but another thing that we will be doing for people who use controller soon is like the ability to fast swap between controller and the PC UI just by like immediately in game, because that's something I believe there was even an implementation of that. It was just a little bit too dodgy to release on early access start. So we just need to get that sorted and then test them and sort of that, so that'll be another one. But in terms of just general console stuff, I mean, look, there's just
Sounds like
you know, we've got our guys on
because
console.
what we're gonna ask everybody to do is we're gonna ask everybody to come here, and then like whoever wants to spend the night or whatever, spend the night here, and then we'll go to the airport after that kind of thing.
And like part of that is literally because when we're in the, this is kind of bad, but it's like in the studio, we literally have like a big screen and the couch that's near it is
I should actually.
It's like an actual real world scenario.
I need to mute
people
that.
often sit a bit further away, and we probably should have been thinking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, things like that just need some addressing for sure.
Fair enough.
All right. Putting aside bugs and tuning that is expected for early access state, was a question that I was asking about. What are the players' feedback that surprised you guys the most?
Well, I know you were saying. I mean, I guess from my perspective, it's like we had a lot of worries about things being broken. We just didn't know what those things were going to be. But then you were saying before that just the level of brokenness did surprise you as far as like some character builds and stuff, right?
Yeah, like I had my whole like, okay, obviously people are going to find broken builds, but like we escaped millions into tens of millions, and then we escaped tens of millions into hundreds of millions in measuring in DPS, and then we escaped DPS into comets per second, and then like you got to this point where it's like, okay, we're just off the reservation here in terms of just, you know, when you 1 week in and someone's like, here's my 450 million DPS build that hits the pinnacle boss for 141 million damage and one shots in the 3-player party, and I'm like, well, where are we? Like, what happened?
The thing that I found a little bit sad, and I guess we should have just expected this, is that like I sort of expected that the first few times people were playing the pinnacle boss, that would kind of be a normal fight. But in reality, the first few times people played the pinnacle boss was just completely like a disaster, because like they just had some build that was because to get to the pinnacle boss the fastest, you also had to have like a ridiculously broken thing going on, and so you just ended up with just like like you don't even get to see the mechanics, and it was just like that was a bit sad to me. Well,
hopefully with more lives, people will actually be giving it a shot instead of just selling it off to those people who do one shot it. But we'll see how that goes. But
the tricky thing about this has just been that, like, okay, so we do generally want to not do mid-league nerfs, and there was a period there before Christmas where we were making some changes, but we weren't even considering those to be mid-league nerfs because they still left things in a state that was still like very, very good. Like from our perspective, and like maybe the players would disagree with this, it was kind of like when we nerfed something there, we were still leaving it in a state where it's still some of the best shit ever. And so from our perspective, we were like, well, there'd be no reason to have to re-roll your character after this change because like it's still crazy. So we didn't even really consider those to be mid-league nerfs in the same way. But then, obviously, there's going to have to be some changes because, like, you know, there are just certain things that are just completely ridiculous. But one thing we've got now, and I kind of mentioned it in the video, is that, like, we actually have an understanding now of, like, what a character should look like. And so ideally, when we do our first, like, true balance patch, we should be at the point where we can be like, okay, here's like these like 10 things that need to come down, but then there's also like these other 50 things that need to come up to get to that point, right? So like ideally it there should be a little bit of leveling there that occurs, but we really don't want to do that kind of patch without doing an economy reset, because we actually need like to see what really happens when you get a new economy and all that sort of stuff. So, and when I say an economy reset, of course, what I mean is a new league. Like you'll still have the old characters if you want to play them, but all the stuff we're going to be looking at will be on the new economy that, you know, in terms of like how it evolves that way. So yeah, that's going to be a tricky one. It'll take us a little bit longer, but that is also what we're working on in the background as well. Is just like getting all of this stuff to where it needs to be.
So am I hearing? there's no nerfs coming in this patch. Then is that sort of what I'm taking from this?
I
We're
mean,
safe?
there might be a few that relate to things that are just completely screwed. But I don't. I mean, it is not our intention to do a big nerf patch here. Like that is not our goal. Our goal with this is like fix things that are annoying people and like make the game more playable. Whereas the goal of like the the sort of balance patch that's coming a little later would be like, okay, we'll have a new economy. We'll actually do like a proper balance pass where we get all of that stuff like more.
Because you scared everyone with that executioner photo in the Twitter post. I mean, it looked like the guillotine was about to drop.
Okay, yeah, people look into things, I think, a little bit too much. Okay.
There's kind of three kinds of nerfs going on.
Yeah.
Not on this patch. Just hold on. That was.
I do want to follow up
Anyway.
though with the comment on the balance patch coming later, and you want to combine that with a economy reset. So is that you saying that there will be economy resets during early access on a regular basis?
Yeah, so there
or we
won't
looking
be.
at-
They'll be in a new league, so you still get to keep your old characters. But effectively, yeah, absolutely during early access there'll be new leagues. What I don't want to say is like whether or not the league as so when I use the word league, people sort of assume that means there's like a league mechanic that comes along with it, and we might do that or we might not. We kind of need to work out what's going on there. But it'll be a new league in the sense that it's a new economy that people can play through, and we'll be introducing significant stuff that would want people to make people replay as well as doing all the balance stuff and lots of stuff. But effectively, we need to do that because if you can't really just make changes to balance like significant ones without screwing people's characters over, obviously. So you need to have some kind of thing like that in order to be able to do that.
Just going back quickly, we have a kind of few classifications of things we do address when it does impact balance, and we are trying to be ultra conservative, but if it is bricking instances, as in it is just absolutely tanking instances, affecting the performance and thus affecting the performance for other users, we almost always have to address it. You can't just let that be.
Mm-hmm.
Now we obviously try and reduce the impact on the server, generally because of some sort of infinite loop or anything of the sort like that, or you know, something happening per frame that shouldn't happen, and all of a sudden now, you know,
like if you're getting the server frame rate to be like 1 FPS, then that is not alright, right?
Yeah.
Like we have to actually sort that. So that is something that we will do a mid-league nerf to address, but ideally in such a way where it still leaves the build perfectly viable.
Yeah.
It's just that it's no longer completely destroying what's going on.
The other things where it does nerf and has an impact is, of course, when there is simply something clearly not working intended. So, like an example of that, which I won't try and pronounce, but the shield that increases effect of your socketed runes and soul cores, and that was just obviously applying to all of them, not the one socketed in itself. That is obviously a nerf. It was never meant to work that way. I don't think that really surprises anyone when that gets changed. It's very clearly not working as intended. So those two we're generally just going to pull the trigger on almost always.
Right.
We're still thinking like, okay, especially in the performance case, that's like blatantly, you know, our fault, and there is economy there, and then obviously there are people who are going to lose their character builds because of it. Maybe, hopefully not. We try and obviously bring down the frequency or the infinite loop element or the per frame while also buffing the damage. And then we make a note of it or like reassess this later when there's a new economy, and we'll come back and reassess that. But, you know, often protecting the instances, protecting the server performance for other users, and obviously fixing bugs are, you know, something we're going to do. And so that can have an impact. But just like at this point, preferably for all the other main nerfs where you're just blatantly nerfing someone's build or nerfing a build, we're trying to currently push that towards the
number of like
/league
with
reset
PoE1 league next league win in the chat is.
All right.
They're not here to talk about PoE1.
That's one of the things that makes this very fun for us to do. We ask a question, then we just lean back and let you guys do your thing. I love it. We are going to circle back to what you mentioned as well earlier, Mark. You said coming back to reassess a decision that's been made. And the topic we're going to open up is the two-step verification, security for accounts with certain things that's happened recently. So the real question that we come down to with everything that's going down is, I guess the first one is, was there a data breach at GGG?
All right.
And following that up with, are you going to reassess the decision of two-step verification?
All right. So this is unfortunately really sucks, and I was really hoping we get a
I
post about
am
this before we did this
off
interview, but unfortunately
doing
we haven't quite finished assessing
stuff on
yet.
the other screen.
So there has been a situation where someone got access to an admin account on our website, and we now understand how that happened. And we also understand, we don't fully understand the scope of everything that occurred here, but we're sort of in the process of like looking at logs and so on. And there was a few really shitty things that occurred here that I'm very unhappy about. So the first one, just to say this, is that the thing that happened here was actually kind of the same thing that happened a while ago when through a Steam, effectively a Steam account was compromised through Steam support. So effectively what happened is one of our administrator accounts had a Steam account associated with it. And this was a Steam account that the person who had it attached didn't really kind of know. I mean, obviously they could have checked, but like they didn't really consider the fact that this was like this old Steam account that they don't even use anymore was attached to their admin account. And so effectively what happened was that got compromised through Steam support. So I don't know like all the details exactly what happens there, but effectively what happens is that like they are able to somehow provide like details that they managed to find on someone, like the last 4 digits of their credit card information or whatever, that they get through some other kind of means, and then they provide enough information to Steam support where they're able to get Steam to change the credentials on the account, which happened without us noticing, because once again this was an account that this person doesn't log into, so there was no they didn't realize that this has occurred.
So my filter should be ready.
This was compounded by the fact, and this one was really, really crap, that whenever a customer support person makes a change to an account, they there's like an audit log, right, of like all the actions, like the events that they've done. And this effectively means that like when we investigate like, hey, what's happening with this account that got compromised, like we obviously look at the events and see like, hey, was there anything, like what happened here, right? Did someone change a password? Was something going on with that? And there was actually a bug where the event for setting a new password on an account was incorrectly in the back end labeled as a note rather than like an audit event. And what that meant was that so notes are things that like customer service can add to people's accounts and they can edit them and delete them. And so the password change thing being a note could be deleted by a customer service person accidentally rather than being permanently there in a way that no one could change. And so that effectively meant that what was happening is the person who managed to get an account, they were compromising the accounts by setting a random password, then deleting the note afterwards to say that had happened. And so when we would look at accounts, we just wouldn't see this. And so it was like really not obvious to us that what was going on there. So I don't have like full information yet about exactly the extent of everything that happened, but what I can tell you is that 66 notes were deleted. So that would imply that 66 accounts were compromised. Now, it does extend slightly back further than what our log history is. So I think there's like, so we only keep logs for 30 days. And that's like a whole, privacy rules around that stuff means that that's your log retention. Now there were 5 days before that where the account was compromised, but this is all pre-launch of PoE2. So effectively, there were the 5 days back in November when we don't have logs for, and then after that point, there were 66 accounts that were that had notes deleted. Now, the reason why I am using that phraseology here is because the things were deleted from the frickin' event stream, like we literally don't know what happened here. Like the only thing I've got to go by is the web server logs, which don't actually record like, all the data that's sent in a web request. It's just like the address of the page they went to, right? So effectively we can see like basic information, but because the thing itself that they were doing involved deleting the frickin' records of the fact that they were doing it, meant that like, yes, it's unfortunately very difficult for us to track down full information about this. Now, we are going to be posting a post with like all the information that we can possibly gather that we're sort of still gathering. And we were obviously initially very afraid that there'd been some kind of larger data breach here where like they would somehow had access to our servers or something like that was going on. Like because we had no idea initially, right? So we're kind of like, oh shit, what the hell's going on here? But now that we've understood that the vector was via a Steam account like that, it kind of means that like effectively what they had access to was the same stuff that customer service had access to, and all of that stuff is logged except this one thing that was not like logged due to this other thing. And then since then we've also added a bunch of extra security stuff that honestly should have already been in place around this to sort this out. So all of that is to say that we totally fucked up here with security stuff on this account. We're certainly not going to have any Steam accounts linked to, we're going to audit and make sure that there's no Steam accounts linked to any customer service admin accounts any longer. Like that certainly needs to not happen if there's going to be this kind of attack vector. As well as we've added a few other measures that, to just make sure that this sort of shit doesn't happen again. All of that really, really sucks. And especially because, like, as I said, just due to the fact that the stuff about it is deleted, we can't, like, easily find out what even freaking happened. So there's going to be more investigation and working out.
That chat's been saying frickin'. I'm noticing when he says frickin'.
So just quickly for the people that are going to give it like a quick recap, this was a social engineering breach. This was not like a server-side data breach of an admin account. And this is a one-off, one account. It's now a closed case scenario. The viewers do not have to do anything on their side to worry about their information.
So the moment that we realized that something had gone wrong, we just immediately reset all the passwords on all the admin accounts and deleted all the sessions just to make sure that everything was kosher. So from that moment on, there was no more like accounts getting compromised or anything like that.
Sure.
And then now it's just been a matter of us like doing a bunch of log analysis. And it's actually quite like. Because the only way we've got it is the web logs, and it's taking a while just to process all the stuff, and there's obviously a lot of human investigation. Like, we just haven't yet been able to prepare a full report about it, but we are going to be posting one hopefully in the next day or two that has all of the stuff about that. But that was just really, really crappy. So then going back to the actual question about two-factor authentication, I mean, in this particular case, it wouldn't have actually helped because it was compromised through our frickin' support interface, right? Except for that, probably it would have helped in the sense that if we had added if there was two-factor auth, presumably the bug about where it didn't get logged when someone changed it wouldn't have applied to that because, it's a new thing that they wouldn't have had the same bug for. So I suppose it would have helped in that sense. But that's the thing with that. So then talking about two-factor auth. So first of all, I'm completely not against two-factor auth in any regard. The only issue with it is that it's easy to implement two-factor auth. What is hard to implement is all the policy around how to recover when people inevitably lose their second factor. And so that's the kind of tricky part to actually deal with. It's kind of one of those things where we will do it, but we're just not quite prepared yet to be able to do it with all the customer support stuff we would have to do. And it's kind of one of those annoyingly deep holes of someone loses their password, what do you do to verify it? The two-factor auth thing, what do you do to verify this? And it's like, okay, so now you start to have to worry about what personal information can they give you? And then now it's storing personal information. And then what's the GDPR implications of that? And it's just a whole rabbit hole of just random policy stuff that all kind of comes around to that stuff. Effectively,
EII, baby.
We're immediately going to add two-factor
personal identifiable information
on that, and that is not a problem. That is not a problem for us to do there because the policy around that is you just walk in person to the frickin' guy. If you lose it, then you can physically deal with that, right? That one is how we sort it out. But as I said, we will get to it, and it is a serious thing. We definitely want to have this. It's just a question of just getting it done, really, all the policy stuff around it and all of the just as I said, it's all support nightmare around how to deal with it.
Well, I appreciate the extremely vocal transparency about what's going on. I'm sure lots of people here watching appreciate that as well, and we won't grill you about it or anything. So appreciate that information. We'll move on here to a little bit more fun topic, which is upcoming content for the game. So we've been asked, one of the most common questions we've had here is things like roadmap for cadence of releases. You guys originally stated 6 to 12 months for full release, which begs the question, how many leagues between? There's 6 classes. So if it's 6 months, it's 1 class a month. You know where I'm going with this. So, can we expect any information in terms of the cadence of releases, upcoming things like weapons, classes, skill gems, etc.?
Right. So the cadence we want to hit is sort of something similar to the kind of league cadence that we've done before for PoE 1. So I think that it works. Things work the best when you've kind of got releases that are fairly large that have a significant amount of stuff in them to actually bring people back and play and so on. So you can kind of expect a similar thing like that. For the actual, what is going to be in each release, obviously I'm not going to talk about that because, we'll save that for the live stream and all that sort of stuff. But effectively, I mean, that's kind of what you can expect. That being said, there's also a thing where, so we want to be able to do the balance patch, addressing the balance issues that we've talked about as soon as we can. But in order to do a patch like that, you need to have enough content in it to be able to make sure that, people actually come back and play it and that sort of thing as well. You need to be able to make enough changes and add enough content that it's actually exciting. So we're going to work towards getting a PoE 2 sort of new league with new content in it, basically as soon as we possibly can. So we're I can't exactly say a date or anything, but we're gonna rush for it, right? We're gonna really try and do it because we want to get to that point of stability of the balance that we're sort of happier with as soon as we can as well. So as I said, not going to say a date, but basically just. Look, we work reasonably fast. We're going to try and get it out as quick as we can. Hopefully we get that relatively soon for you guys.
Okay.
So I'm just going to go ahead and assume that the new acts is going to be involved in this. But I guess a little extra question to that when we talk about Act 4, 5, 6. Is the plans to add like one act, or are you guys?
Yeah. So this is honestly one of the freaking hardest questions ever, right? Like this is actually something that we've discussed back and forth so many times, because like, if you're talking about it from a pure storyline perspective and like kind of what makes sense, like, so there would be, okay, so imagine we release one act, right? It's like, how does it fit exactly into having the leveling? Like, do you go like 1, 2, 3, 4 and then like 1, 2 again? Like that'd be kind of weird. Or like 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, or like, do you have Act 4? You can also play Act 1 or Act 4, or like, you know, like it's kind of just weird, right? And like, so like from that perspective, it's like, oh, we should do them all at once, like at some point. But then on the other hand, we're like, okay, if we don't release the acts one at a time, then that kind of means like all the content from that we're sort of busy having to work on, like we still have to have good releases, right? And so that means we have to have like more stuff in what we do release if it doesn't contain an act. So there's kind of this like complicated like puzzle around this, and it's like, and what we kind of thought, like, there are issues around this, but effectively we're like, okay, well, we're going to have to make Act 4. We have to be making Act 4 in the background right now anyway, right? So we don't technically have to decide what we're doing about this, like, right now. So, like, that's sort of happening anyway. So I guess that is to say that, like, there's still a lot of argument about this fact. And yeah, it's honestly such a hard one, because I don't think there's a really great answer. Like, releasing the acts one at a time would make the making content so much easier, because we get to immediately utilize all the stuff from that act to like make other content. Like, it'll be so much, and like also it just immediately makes the release feel really big, right? So like that would be something that we could do, but and it also would be good for our studio, because like there's this phenomenon that always happens where like you say, okay, this is when we're making this thing, but if people are not actually going to play it, then like people have a different definition of finished from like, oh, people are actually going to play this versus like it just has to be ready internally, you know. So like for just a production perspective, like I feel like the game will get made faster if we do release the acts, just because it forces us to actually release them and like forces everyone to get it into a really playable state. But yeah, on the other hand, as I said, there's like all these kind of like practical issues with it. So
damned if you do, damned if you don't, huh?
Yeah, I know, it's a bit of a tough one. So yeah, I mean, I guess the answer to that is still to come, and we just need to work out what we feel about this one way or the other. So yeah, I guess you'll see when we do our next announcement what we've kind of come up with. But yeah, as I said, in the meantime, it's not like we don't have to just make Act 4 anyway right now in the background. So that's, yeah, they're continuing to do that, as well as all the people on the more sort of balancey side of things working on balance, which will get shipped much earlier. Yeah.
All right. Let's just move on to the next topic to make sure we actually cover these questions. We have a long list.
Yeah. Sure.
So we're going to talk about a can of worms called State of Magic Find. Now, the perception has been one thing. And I mean, shout out to Slippery Jim for the absolute insanity that he goes through, which is kind of showing that it's fine. So what do you guys think about Magic Find in its current state?
This is a very tricky question. Now, what I will say to start with is that, like, the way the Magic Find formula works in PoE 2 is literally identical to how it was in PoE 1 as far as diminishing returns and everything is concerned. The difference is just down to what Rarity is giving you as opposed to what it was giving you in PoE 1. Our argument for why Magic Find should be fine in PoE 2 is effectively, like, we're not doing what happened in PoE 1, where you got like all these quantity mods and all that sort of stuff like that. Like, it's effectively the Magic Find in PoE 2 is what PoE 1 had back when PoE 1 was first released, right? Where it was kind of like, and it kind of was fine then, so the argument was, well, why shouldn't it not be fine now? I guess there's another, like, compounding with this, there's another contingent of people who would say that, like, anything at all that affects item drops should just not be a thing at all, and which is, like, a position you can take, and I don't know that I necessarily agree with that position, but like,
I don't agree with that position. This is an ARPG.
So I guess
you should be able to always affect your drops.
I don't think there's anything about it that's not working as it's intended to work. And ultimately, the purpose of something like Magic Find is to kind of give you another axis of build design beyond just like doing the most DPS, which, you know, like, that's kind of its ultimate goal. So yeah, but I mean, that's kind of where it's at, really. There's definitely more to look into here, though. I don't know if you've got a different opinion.
Not really. I was just thinking the main difference between, say, PoE 1 was you fully saturate into every single item being a unique item.
That's the difference.
Whereas in PoE 2, you saturate into higher tier rares. You actually cannot fully saturate into unique items. It is impossible. So yeah, it certainly holds different value. I don't know how, but then again, I suspect a lot of the audience who are finding Magic Find to be a problem would find it a problem in both games, which again, completely fair perspective to take. I don't know. There's a little bit more to look into here for sure. Like, we come back from holiday and we're like, all right, let's fix everything we can in a week. There's this list of like 100 things, and we pick the most, what we think is the most impactful 10. And so, yeah, there's a lot of these things that are just outlying on a list for us to really actually look into and investigate more and see, you know, what part of it people are liking and not liking. Because, you know, even though you had Slippery Jim do this, you know, the great service, there'll be a lot of people who just disagree with that. He says it's fine. There'll be a lot of people who disagree with him as well. So, yeah, we just need to look into this a bit more, honestly, to get a better conclusion. But personally speaking, I don't think it's a problem currently. But I might change my mind as well upon reading all of this and looking into it more. So we'll see how it goes.
A follow-up...
I don't know if you... Okay.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. You can continue.
No, you go for it.
Sure. So a follow-up to this is, okay, so the state of Magic Find is a question. Specifically... do you have a belief on how you believe it's influenced the economy? I'm seeing a lot of comments sometimes when I'm live where people are like Magic Find's the reason, inflation's the thing, etc. So what is your guys' belief in terms of how much Magic Find is actually making an impact in the current economy?
Actually, there's another difference from PoE 1, actually, of course, is that Magic Find now increases the tiers of currency you find.
Yes.
Which, yeah.
I don't honestly think that we have an informed enough opinion on this topic, actually, to be fair. Yeah, like, I don't think it's been our primary concern, like, this week, because of the fact that, like, there's other things that we think, you know, like, we really wanted to make sure that the actual play experience is prioritized as the main thing. Like, that's the kind of, you know, our focus right now. Which, I mean, obviously this affects it, but it's kind of like something where, like, it's a slightly longer term concern. So it's something we need to definitely investigate more. But yeah, it was really like that map playability and like making sure that, because like, I mean, when people are dying,
I think
things that
I'm gonna be done with this interview. I'm gonna just close it down and get back to playing.
Yeah, that's. I would say we need to.
I don't think that we're gonna go into anything that I care about as much right now. So I am going to close that bad boy down and play a little bit more. We'll have to see when the actual release is. I'm excited for the release when it does come up. So the other thing, I do want to eventually make a Magic Find character. That would be a blast. Okay, let's see. So now I should be able to go into game, starter filter, save, close. Now I should have my filters applied properly.
I am a Sala. Remain a friend. So, with the trail for glory.
You guys are trying to go fastest. Now we gotta make up some time. I should be able to get through all of Act 2 Cruel today, probably. Shouldn't be too bad. Dabba dab.
Seems the Faradin have been up to no good in the hills of Morden.
I'm a little excited for the patch though. Like I definitely want to be preparing to play, so I want to be in maps on my SSF character. I want to see if I can build a Magic Find character in full self-run. I don't think I'll be able to. I think it's going to require me actually going straight up to standardly. I can buy items, but I'm going to attempt it. Will attempt it. Oh, there they are. Oh, it finally. My beautiful loot filter is on. Race is that against whatever they want. So I would assume Mr. And obviously this is well, actually you guys probably have thought about this for like when you flying here, like how you guys are getting to the airport and things like that. But so I sent that message the other day is what I am thinking that I was going to, looks like we're either thinking hold on. Error accent. Hard. Going to, because we have to grab Grace's brother, obviously, to bring him with us, and then we're thinking if others are here or whatever, you know, like our other friends, we think that they will probably drive separately, or they like have somebody to take them to the port already, possibly. We're kind of just trying whatever. I mean, it's a ways away, but something that like we think about a long time in advance so that we can budget for it and everything. Oh shit. The other funny thing was we were chat and so I can go into the Delta Lounge. I'm allowed in the Delta Lounge when we travel, so I can go like in there and I can get dinner and whatever, and they just have, you know, it's buffet food, but like it's nicer buffet food, nicer quote unquote, and so I get like 15 guest passes per year. I get 15. I can bring 15. Like, well, you could bring everybody in there. I was like, I very highly doubt that Delta is going to let me bring 8 guests in there. I don't think that they're going to let me do. We could try, but don't think that Delta will let me bring 8 guests. The best part is I actually did look. I don't see a max on there. Like, it doesn't tell me I can only use so many passes at once. So I'm gonna be honest, I probably could bring everybody, but I think that people will I think the attendance will be like, hey, like, that's a lot of people, are you sure? Like, they won't directly say to us like no, they'll say like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to allow that many people with you? Okay. Good jewelry resort. Agents. Back and support gem. Actually, I'm gonna do that. Go back and grab that support gem so that do more damage.
What have you learned?
In a minute.
Care for a story?
I will tell your tale.
Who goes there? Take your time.
That's not horrible. It's not good though.
Warm nights.
Probably. And I believe it is fire pack. Is fire. I want to. That bad boy. The mod. I don't think this is going to do a ton more. It's not going to be so good to. Whoa. Oh. Those dudes, they're bomb. By the way, Blake, how's the D&D campaign coming out? How's your prep and everything for it? So, okay, I don't think I have an ad break coming up, so let us play out. Yep, we should be good. All right.
Now you pay with your life.
Sand and steel.
It's insane.
Insane.
I'll show you insane. Burn!
It's coming.
For the fun of
Done.
Quickly, break the lock.
Sweet.
Winds 1000. Please take me.
Portal out.
Quickly.
Hey, Duns.
young one.
Get rid of.
Stay in sight.
I know what he intends to feed them. Think carefully. Stella.
What is it?
That I have enough. Yeah, like this looks correct. Yeah, it's the Halani Gates. Why? I don't understand why. Nice. I did use the map to travel.
Why have we stopped?
The Halani gates are fight to the last.
And good that you got the juice flowing. Yeah. So I am gonna personally, I'm going to, because I'm going to start prepping for
Our city. Let us see if this. I am a
to eventually be a DM one day. I am going to actually go to, I need to figure out how to get them, but I'm gonna try and grab a bunch of the books, the physical books, so that I have all of the enough lore to be able to do
Creepers and crawlers in dark
what am I trying to
spaces.
say?
How wonderful.
Be able to like write stories that will surround the world that I will eventually build. That's what I'm trying. But I need the books so I know like the kind of the lore, or like the monsters or the races, and like where they kind of come from in the world in Faerun and everything. So I'm gonna go through and do a bunch of prep work, but I just have to actually like sit down and I want to get like the monster compendium and all that stuff, because I kind of already have like an idea of where I want to go with it, but
Give my power to wield.
I'm excited though for your campaign. I'm very excited. I'm excited to play it. I'm very, very excited. It'll be because it will be in like 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. So very, very excited. Two weeks from yesterday. Go up as fast as I have not heard anything about the backstories. I know Jared was planning to write his on the plane. I don't think that ever happened. So I don't think that we're gonna see backstories from those two. Part of me was going to like try to like encourage them, like not encourage, but like when we have that period of time where like our characters meet, I was kind of gonna like throw my backstory at them a little bit to see if like they get kind of juices flowing in the moment. Oh, have you heard of this before? This guy. Have you heard of this? Foundry BTT? The only reason that I have heard of Foundry V because I know it was something their pirate software was looking at. Got it. Okay, yeah. Only reason I know about it is from pirate software. was talking about using that because if he streams, he wants to be able to like display stuff instead of doing full critical role style. Which I agree with, like if you're like it is more interactive to like have that kind of stuff. It is way more interactive to have like stuff to see on screen, like how the characters move and all that stuff.
One day, they'll make a statue like this of me.
Taking it through quick. Oh, I'm gonna go right. Always right. Yeah, I know like a lot of the other stuff will be on the phone, but yeah, like I won't have a laptop for probably a little bit, so I will have a laptop eventually, but just not yet. Always right is right.
Someone wanted these doors to remain shut. I should open them.
Now, Jingak, I prove myself. Nakai. Aria. Mistress. Sun's rise. Wounded. Nakai.
Stunner. There we go. That's the stunner we're looking for, B. There she even is.
How fun!
This does not grant an ascendancy. I really... Oh man, that always sucks when...
Suffer and die!
Yeah, and we I know that we do have the projector, though. I know that will help a little bit. Dun dun. there is, and this is just because I'm ADHD brained out to wazoo. There was another type of content that I was experimenting, or like, not experimenting, but thinking about doing. And that was cooking. I was actually thinking about having like YouTube channel about cooking. So like Joshua Weissman, Binging with Babish, that kind of stuff. And the only reason I was thinking about it was because like I watched Ali Abdal, and he talked about like things like how to kind of get your start is to already be good at the thing that you are teaching or like doing on YouTube, right? Sadly, lucky for me, the thing that I'm very good at is cooking, you know, right? So I was like, yeah, that'd be kind of fun. Like I've talked about it in the past, actually. It's just, it's so hard to do. It's so hard to, there's a lot of work that goes into that. So not even that's hard to do. There's a lot of work. One of my funny things that I thought about doing was, so when we go to Colorado, being like, okay, like bringing all of the film stuff and actually film me try to teach somebody how to do something, how to like make a specific thing.
Take your time. Warm nights.
Quickly.
Because like I already know what like one of the first things I would do is probably macaroons. Also, I would say that I call them macarons is the proper way of calling them. Whatever, they're the thing that everybody complains are super hard. I personally don't think they're super, but I'm a special case. So.
Young one. Do not wander.
If I were to teach you anything, I would probably teach you how to make Japanese milk bread. That'd be the first thing that I would teach. Only because I love Japanese milk bread, and it's a great thing. This stone luckily is just like a straight shot. It's just a little bit.
Hold them back when I open the gate.
She made light work of that.
I could take. Why couldn't I all teach you? I could teach almost everybody something. So I would be perfectly honest. Well, I would probably teach, like, I wouldn't just teach milk bread. I would teach hanbini egg sandwich, or what are they called? Yeah, what are they called? I'll have to show you. Hanbini. What are they called? Egg sandwich. their Tomago Sando, which is I think it's him that does it. Oh, it's trying to think of who, but it's literally an egg sandwich, but it's milk bread, so it's Japanese milk bread slices, Japanese bread, and they're pretty thick. And what they do is they actually make a soft boiled egg, so they're it's over soft eggs, so they're not runny, but they're just barely done. They're not hard eggs, like hard-boiled eggs. Plus they have your then there's just like egg salad as well, and they put that in the middle of it. They put they slice the hard-boiled egg in half, put that in the middle, cover the whole thing in egg salad, and then they smush that together, cut it in half, so then you're like the half, both sides have like two eggs on them. They're super good, and they're super popular in Japan. Like they're on every convenience is so at almost every like 7-Eleven will have them, and like almost everywhere has them. They're very, very popular. Lawson's will have them, all that. But the only reason I was thinking that I would do macaroons first is because my one niece, she really wants to learn how to make macaroons. I was like, I totally could teach her how to make macaroons. I don't think it's that hard to, like, I shouldn't say that's that hard. I should not say that, because I say that and then like I'll fuck it up a bunch. But the Konbini egg sandwiches, they're very popular. Very popular. They're a very popular like just snack or breakfast sandwich. So which we actually I made a joke to my wife, because I was saying that I need to go on another vacation this year, specifically because I need to keep my Delta status. So in order to keep my Delta status, I need to spend so much money per year. That's how you keep Delta status, is based off of the money that you spend. And I was telling her I need to keep it, so I need to go on another vacation. I actually sent her the flights for going to Japan, because there's specifically certain things that I want to do in Japan. I want to go in the summer. So our friends that have been to Japan many a time have told us, go in the summer. 100% go in the summer. Is that special? I don't understand why that one's but so our what was I say? Our friends told us go in the summer because of the festivals, specifically because of the festival. Because they said if you want to experience Japanese culture at its like most prominent, it's during festival season, summer, and specifically, they have the oldest fireworks festival in the world. Happens last week of the last week of July is the oldest fireworks festival in the world. So I was like I would love to go and do that. Boss time. That mean I'm just making sure that I'm not on ad break. Okay.
Noxious
How is this possible?
you are unworthy! I tried to seek peace, and the Sekimas disgraced me. Right in the sand.
So
This time, we choose war.
boss is dead. I just need him.
We shall finish this. But not today.
So the best time to go to
Corpse King is running away.
Japan
Quickly! He called
is
us
to
the very
go
sons against
during festival season during the summer. And there's one festival which is the last Saturday before end of the last Saturday of July is day.
Let us return to the caravan and entreat Zarka's wisdom.
Can I literally travel back to the checkpoint? The last Saturday in July in Japan is the oldest fireworks festival in the world. So I really want to go for that. I also, there's another festival that happens there. It's in Kyoto summer. Gion Matsuri. So Gion Matsuri is also during that time. So so I really want to go to Gion Matsuri, which is like the big festival. It's like massive in Japan. So like people come from all over the country to go to Gion Matsuri. And I really want to go there for that. But I believe that's like the middle of July. The Yamaboko Junko, which is the Grand Parade of Floats, takes place from July 17th to July 24th. So so the first day, July 17th, that one is like the big one. So you want to be there for that one. So you need to be there for that one. But then you also want to be there in Tokyo for the fireworks festival. Like I'm like, there's all these like different moving things that like you have to plan to get to. But I do know that we will go one day. It's just how long until that happens. And yes, I 100% agree with you that it'd be an amazing trip. Especially because I want to experience the culture, and that's kind of why our friends told us was like, you need to go during that time because you will experience more culture in that time than you will any other time.
My wares
So
are
I'm very much looking forward to going. If this was better let's see what
a wise choice. Warm nights.
So like when we go, I'm planning to go for like 2.5-3 weeks. because I literally want to be able to go and do a bunch of stuff. So I want to go. I know that you fly into Tokyo, obviously. I want to spend a couple days in Tokyo. I go from Tokyo down to Kyoto, go to Gyo Matsuri, do all that, go to the temples down there, everything. And then I want to actually go up to Yamagata Prefecture. So I want to kind of go into like the boondocks and go see some of those festivals that are like way more traditional, because it's gonna be like villages that like are older and like they're not going to be catering to touristy kind of people. I want to see that. And then, oh my god, 107 max. This plus energy. Int. I will put Artificer on them. I can make put some light.
Young man.
Boom. But yeah, I very much want to go for a pretty extended period of time, so that I can be able to go and like really enjoy Japan.
Ah, yes. Move swiftly.
Okay. Go, I think, where do I go? The city of Keth.
The skeleton city of a once great culture. How adorable.
I was watching it. I stopped watching it after they kind of were diving into a little bit of stuff that I didn't particularly care. I didn't think that would still be going on. So my friends told me about when you go to Japan, like, what do they say? Like, that's, yeah, Colonel, that's just kind of how GGG has always been. They're super receptive, which is a game company. But for going to Japan, our friends have kind of always told us, like, you're gonna want to go back. So it's not necessarily about seeing as much as you want to, but like the first time you go, you kind of want to try and get as much of a taste as you possibly can. So like I will try to let's say go to like as many festivals as possible, but I probably won't go up north to the northern areas, but I will go I probably won't go to the northern areas, but I'll go to, is that level 3? Oh my Jesus. Okay, I can, this guy, I want to put very specific fire exposure, baby. And I need it, but strip away. But yeah, So when you go to Japan, they were telling us that want to go and I can.
Time to consume.
When you go, you're gonna want to see everything that you possibly can, which is like important to try and see as much as you can. But just remember that once you go once, you'll probably be back, kind of thing. So don't worry too hard about seeing as much as possible. Like hit up the things that I really want to see. So like for me, because I love Japanese culture, it's very much the aspect of I want to see what is it? I want to see all these different places. I want to see all these different festivals. I want to do all that stuff. I want to go to the Tokyo Fireworks Festival. I want to go to Gion Matsuri. I want to go to Yamagata Prefecture, to one of those. But at the same time, like for Grace, it's like she wants to experience onsens, to experience, going and maybe see the monkey, the snow monkey, that kind of stuff. Like so we've got to kind of balance that, as well as like the king and all that. But like I said, then we probably won't go to Mount Fuji necessarily, or we won't go to XYZ place, because you also don't want to be in too much of a hurry either. There is the nice thing is you can get the Japan Rail Pass, and that will help a ton. Because kind of don't want to have to drive there if you can avoid it. Actually, I know that there's a point that I would have to drive in Japan, and I'm very much dreading it, which is when we go up to the Yamagata Prefecture. Like, you can't get around without driving. I'm not looking forward to that. Oh, here it is. Wonder which.
Serpent Queen, slither for me.
Stunner! 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 Come on. Oh. Perfecto. Got it.
Bite your tongue, serpent.
Cool.
I will crush you.
This thing. Okay, there we go. I hate that they added that back in, where you actually have to click on it. I had to look up the word immensely today. Don't remember how to spell it for a second. Okay, that's good. You're good. I was just talking about like Japan and like don't rush while you're there though. And all that. Like you can go, but don't rush. Don't be in a hurry. Kind of thing. Like don't try to see everything all at once. That's just the general advice, like our friends about it. And the other thing is if you can learn to speak the language, that was another thing that our friend, it comes in mighty handy because you think that everything will be in English. And for the most part, there is a translation, but it's sometimes the translation is incorrect or it just is off. Like you'll look at it and be like, what is this supposed to be telling me? Wait, what? Hate that the imp. Like I know, like a really good example is I do know when we go eventually, like, because I want to go up to like Yamagata. One, I have a tattoo. Obviously, I have my tattoo on my arm, which you can't even see because I can't go into onsens, public onsens, which of course is like kind of sad because it's like. That's one of those like custom Japanese things that like I won't get to experience kind of deal. But I know like you can get like your private onsens and stuff. I know that's something that I want to do. There is a large part of me too that really very badly wants to do the capsule hotels. There is a part of me that really wants to do those just because I think it would be interesting to sleep in one night. But I have a sneaking suspicion that my wife would not like to do.
The once verdant city is still mostly intact, but overwhelmed with sand. Pretty.
I don't think I could convince my wife to let me do a capsule hotel one night. I very much don't think that. Appreciate it. Golden. I would love it, you know. I'll be honest, I probably can't do it because I'm too tall, but I would love to try. I would just have this like sneaking suspicion that some like old Japanese lady is going to come up to me and be yelling at me, too tall, too tall. Okay, so have the requirements. All right, I got sent here. Think point to the one thing that my friends that have been to Japan a bunch did tell me, they said the best part about Japan is you can go to the shittiest sushi place in the world. Shittiest sushi place. Like, not in the world, in Japan. The shittiest sushi place in Japan. That is like a gourmet sushi place here. Like, legit, that is how good it is. And they said that like, what's it called, conveyor belt sushi is amazing there. Like, it's so good. Gonna go back to the beginning at this. I have not been to Kura. The one of the places that we go, so we go to Kyoto Sushi, which is also Akita Sushi in Woodbury, and then we go to Iban Sushi Dina. Iban is like a nicer sushi restaurant. Is Kura the conveyor belt sushi here at MOA? I think my niece went. Oh, oops. That wasn't oopsie. Look into this. Because I know there's one more thing. Galleria. every time with the P. Yeah, Crave. So my problem. Okay, so I'm going to go on a little bit of a crusade. I was going to eat, then I forgot. Are you gonna eat it? Leave it on the counter. I'll eat it here. So I'm going to go on a tiny crusade about sushi. Okay. I have a problem with American sushi because for some reason we in the US of A, great US of A, love to put avocado and cucumber in stupid sushi. Neither one of those belong in sushi. This is like literally the thing that drives me insane when I go to sushi places. And the only reason I'm bringing it up is because you said Crave. And Crave does it more than anywhere else. And that's why I don't go there for sushi. Literally because I hate when there is cucumber and avocado in maki roll. Because so the reason why, and I actually do know a lot about sushi, so I actually why that is the case, why those so typically like a maki roll in like Japan, right, it would be fish eggs. That's what is in a maki roll in Japan. If you go to Japan and you were to get a maki roll, you would have fish eggs on your sushi roll. Like very common, surprised to no one kind of thing that you would have some fish eggs on your so the reason why cucumber is put into sushi is because they want the crunch that exists from having fish eggs in the sushi. That is where that comes from, which is just the weirdest thing in the world. I'm like, bro, why not just do the fish eggs? And the California roll obviously was invented in California. That's where the avocado thing started, was when they started putting avocado in. That was because of the California roll, which was created here in the US, obviously in California. But it was literally one chef that did it. And like, then it just like, I always tell people, I'm like, I will go on a tyrant about the fact that exists. Because I hate that we butchered soup. Correct. So that's the thing but that's because they want the crunch that comes from the fish egg. They put cucumber in it. And I learned this. Where was I think I learned it at one point, like while I was looking something up, and I was just like, why is that even a thing? But yeah, it literally comes from them just trying to create that texture. I just want other thing. I'm literally just this Galleria. Well, like, it makes sense for Caitlyn to eat a California roll. I'm gonna be honest. Like, it makes total sense for her to eat a California roll, right? I'm very passionate about like what real sushi is supposed to be. So that's where that like whole deal comes from. Is it just comes from me being very, very passionate about like what real is supposed to be. Which, like you were saying, like if you do sashimi, right? Sashimi is a good example of like that's traditional sushi. Some wasabi, soy sauce. That's it. Galleria. The Galleria of Jewelry.
What a disgustingly shiny thing.
See, that's kind of where my like the crux of my problem lies. Is like we've totally like taken something that like is a traditional Japanese food and we like changed it completely. That's what a California roll is changed. At that point it's not sushi. Like oh, the other thing, sushi. The word sushi actually means sashimi. So like, because I remember this from Japanese class, from learning Japanese in class, from a Japanese professor. He literally told us, he said, so sushi, right? The sushi that you think that like the word actually is just rice with sashimi. That's it. Or no, sushi means vinegar rice. That's it. That's all it means. It just means vinegar rice.
Young man.
Cruises, you have collected back. That's one of those like weird that like you can make busted.
I will tell your tale.
Sushi like doesn't even mean like the word that we associate with sushi. Boom. Yeah, it's a like a thing that like, because my Japanese professor used to always tell us like isn't what you think it is. Like if you when you go to a sushi restaurant here in the US, like you're not actually getting sushi, like that kind of stuff.
Long forgotten shrines. Show me your secrets.
Like sushi just means the vinegar, right? So when you get sashimi, right? So sashimi, right? Sashimi is just raw meat, right? So it's just raw, and then it'll be your raw fish, essentially. So when you think of sushi, that's kind of more is when you get sashimi, you're getting like what in Japan you would essentially. Maki rolls don't exist too much in, like if you go to a nice sushi restaurant in Japan, You will not get a maki roll. It doesn't exist there. It's going to be sashimi. Since you're always into Japanese culture and everything, I'm assuming you have watched abroad in Japan. Now that's fixed. Okay. Oh, is my starting to take a crap? Not as bad as it has been. Oh, are all my minions dead? Yep. Don't worry.
My king nears.
Done.
He didn't want me.
Is that a mortal pain? None I wires. Death. Thank you.
This is what I
Water. Oh man.
There was a goddess.
Speak up.
Okay. And theft of ivory. Quick. Acid on land. Get through here as fast as possible.
And bone. I should retire here someday.
They're plenty leveled. Probably. Yeah, literally ignore that where you guys is the going point.
A ritual. Raised from bone. I like these lost men.
I'm literally just trying. So jump. The boat.
Pit graves and necromancers. This place just gets better and better.
Guessing. Literally ignoring more.
I will feast on your soul.
Oh, I need. I'm kind of running through. They're important. So uh-oh. Now I'm clapped on the blade. I get ripped. Okay. I'm 1 point. Okay. Go get that one. I just want more damage. I just literally just want damage. Perfect. Go.
Oh my, what a gorgeous round. I'm ready.
Tell you. That's right. They all sort of died. They're gonna kill my minions are gonna kill the wrong thing first. Thank you, minions. What kind of videos do you have to record for your classes? Your like intro, introduction. This is who I am.
These?
How can I?
Hello. I will tell your tale.
That's I can equip Grimfeet.
Feast on flesh.
Grimfeet.
Hello.
And left, but not. Ah, I gotcha. That makes. Hey. Sent me the wrong place. So is this like your first week of class then, I'm assuming?
Titans lived and died here. What fate wrought their demise?
Gotta set the people without Break quick. Switch quick. Oh, whoa. What's VSM though? That was my question. What is VSM? Oh, Visual Studio. Code or actual Visual Studio? Visual Studio Code or actual Visual Studio? That's what I'm trying. When you say Microsoft Visual Studio, I'm assuming you are talking about actual Visual. Which that is torture if they're making you use actual visuals. That's horrible. I don't know why you would do. Why would you do?
It appears they fought here, died here, a resting place. Can oppose me.
I don't know why. And okay, two things. One, I would tell you need to learn how to use Vim, specifically NeoVim. But use Visual Studio and tell them. But you need to learn how to use. Not even kidding you. Vim, well, NeoVim. Although it is hard, it's not easy. I shouldn't say it's not easy. It's not easy for a weird reason. There is a lot of manual setup to NeoVim. And actually, you know what? Because I can't let you. Because I can't let you. You need this. Okay? This is how to set up Neo. And NeoVim is like the one where people do it in command line. So you've got to learn Vim motions and stuff. But honest to God, not even kidding you, coming from like, I don't use them often, but honestly, watching somebody, since we have a fairly new software engineer on my team right now, I can say watching her navigate is painful. Like so when you watch a person that's really, really good at Vim navigate Vim, you're like, holy shit, this person is a god. Like, they are a god programmer because they are just so fast and all this stuff. But because like I first experienced that with one of my professors in my CS program, where I watched him navigate and I was like, how the fuck is he moving so quickly? But when you do that, when you do all that, when you learn those like techniques and yes, trying to figure out last button it gotta be like or here. So Vim, when you see somebody that's really good at it, they're so quick. They're so quick at editing files and stuff. It's insane. Like, legitimately good Vim programmers are so fast. And I wish that I was a Vim programmer. Like, I wish I was that. Why can't like what's going on? I have a point. Skill points 1. I don't understand why I can't allocate this one. I don't know what's going on there. Okay. So what I was saying was when you like, so I'm fairly quick at it. So like when you, because I'm sure you've experienced this, you've accidentally, ended up in the visual inspector, right? DI, and you have to do the like :Q or :W or colon. So W is right. Whatever. It's all the different know what I mean. So you probably ended up in that before, most likely, and you're like, well, how do I get out of this? Like, how do I exit Vim? Like, that's always the meme. Is like new programmers don't know how to exit Vim. Because it's one of the, I think it's like one of the most searched things on Stack Overflow is like how to exit Vim. Once like, but when like God programmers are very, very good at Vim, and so the better you get at that, the better programmer you'll be, just for the sole fact that you are faster than everyone else. Like speed, like if there's one thing that I can get better at, it's literally how fast can I develop. Everything else, not, and this is literally not me trying to toot my own horn or anything like that, but literally everything else I have already got down. There's sometimes where I'm like, oh, I need to learn this thing, but for the most part I can learn it pretty quickly because it's like, oh well, all these things are kind of the same. But as far as like that kind of stuff goes, like I could build an application tomorrow, like, and it would be fairly, you know, straightforward and whatever. Like it doesn't take me much time.
Can't do that.
So the only thing I can do better now is just get faster at developing. Like I for the most part am one of those people that are, so one, I hate using Copilot. I think Copilot is a piece of crap and I really hate using Copilot lets me turn my brain off way more than it should, and that's why I hate you.
Hello.
That's why, like, I think I've said multiple times, I'm not even kidding you, multiple times to my work, you should not let new programmers have this tool. Like, if a person has less than like 4 years experience, they shouldn't be using Copilot. Like 4 years professional experience should not Copilot, because it allows you to turn your brain off. And honestly, I catch so many mistakes of people turning their brain off. So I try to catch those mistakes a lot now. So I would like 1000% tell most people, don't use Copilot. Copilot sucks. Don't use it. Don't use ChatGPT. Don't use any of those things for development work. Because what you do then is you turn your brain off, and don't ever be turning your brain. Like, but that's the thing, is the reason why I especially say that is because Copilot makes me a faster developer, and that's the thing that I need, is to be a faster developer. And that's why I see with both my lead engineers is they use Copilot a lot because they need to be faster engineers. That's part of being like a lead, is you don't have as much time to code. And it's the same for me, like me being I don't have as much time to code, so I need get as much. When I get the time to code, I need code very quickly. So, because like a really good example is tomorrow I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna start my day, and the first thing that happens, I have meetings right away, instantly meetings, 2 back-to-back meetings. One of them is a technical discussion, the other one is my review, and it's like I just, and then I have another meeting like an hour later, and then I have more meetings throughout the day. And it's like, I just don't get enough time to code now. Correct. That is the other reason why I tell people, I've told my work multiple times, do not let new engineers have this, is because you are not learning what you need to learn. I see that a lot with actually a lot of two or three devs on my team right now. I see that a lot with them, is they don't understand why. Like, so there's a lot of the tech, like a lot of the stuff that is within my team was built by me. So there's a very, very large portion of stuff that was built by me, and I had like this idea for it where I was like, hey, I'm going to use these things and these things, and the reason why I use those is because then they abstract away a lot of things. And the other day, we asked one of the not junior devs, but the regular software engineers, we said to him, can you come up with a architecture for this specific thing that you're trying to do? And I looked at the architecture for 1 second and I said, you don't know what you're doing. I literally told my lead, I said, he has no idea what he's doing, because the first thing that I saw was what we call prop drilling, and the goal that you should always have when developing in React specifically is to avoid prop drilling at all costs. Because what happens is you're passing a bunch of information around, and then what can happen is, and things are getting information that you need, and like then you've got to pass them further because that component doesn't need it. It's got to pass it to the next component, and it just looks really freaking ugly. And I told him this. What did I say? I told him, I said, if I see a component that looks like that, I will have an aneurysm, is what I told him. And they all were like Jesus. But I mean, that's like truly like how I feel. I'm like, bro, like this was a dumb decision. Like, and I blatantly called it out as a dumb decision. But I can tell that the thing was that he went to somewhere and he asked Copilot how to do it, or he asked ChatGPT how they would do it. And it's like, because he's never done architecture work before. And granted, architecture work is something that you don't do usually as a software, as just normal level software. But like, I specifically called him out for it, and I was like, I will not let you merge code that looks like that. I just won't. I will not. I will hold it up until the end of time because it looks stupid.
One still lives. For now.
Let's do Dias the Reckon. I've turned into a bit of a Linus Torvald at my work on.
My largest.
Oh man.
Oh, it's warm. And now mine.
I will say to you that the more senior an engineer is, by the way, the more of a dick they will be when they're reviewing.
This rule
Just so you know, like going forward into the industry. And it's not that we mean to be a dick, like so somebody like me, I don't mean to be a dick. I just, when I see code that's written poorly, I look at it and go, why didn't you just come to me and ask me instead of writing this the way that? That's more my bothersomeness.
What? Stay in sight.
It is time to. You have your orders.
This whole operation would be more efficient if they were dead. Nowhere left to hide now, sweet undead king.
I am hesitant to move swiftly.
Okay, cool.
So this is how they bury their dead. It's
No,
rather elegant.
so Linus, I forgot you aren't part of the like software engineering all the way yet. Linus, when I refer to Linus, I specifically refer to Linus Torvald. I'm going to introduce you to Linus. Is it not gonna have him actually talking? Come on. Here's a good one.
Sorry to ask.
Oh, this is a great one.
Something that I think is a little bit important. How do you think it affects the culture of a community of a project when the leader is on that project's public mailing list, telling people in response to patch reviews that they should be retroactively aborted?
Right.
And maybe that you're surprised that they're still alive because they should have starved to death when they were children because they were too stupid to find a pit to suck on.
So, those are legit things Linus Torvald has said to the developer community surrounding. So he is the developer and maintainer of Linux. This guy that you're about to see. Linus Torvald is the literal dude for software engineering. He's like, he is the biggest dick in the world, though. The biggest dick in the world. He's calmed down a little bit in the PCU, but he used to be way worse.
I agree that some people might be put
So this is Linus Torvald.
off by that. But on the other hand, you know what? In the end, I don't care, right? I care about technology, and I've actually seen projects that took the whole political correctness.
So, as you see, he literally is like, I don't care what you think. Like, he doesn't give a fuck what you think.
So far that the project no longer is about the technology. I actually, so my, wow, we're getting more questions, I think. At some point we might want to moderate them. So my take, don't get me, I actually am very happy to talk about this. It's not a problem for me. My standpoint has always been that, hey, people are different. I'm abrasive. I grew up in a culture that I think is not quite as politically correct as the culture, especially in the US today. I also grew up in a family that was largely dysfunctional. So, I mean, so people are different, and some people take offense, and some people give offense, and we all have to live together, but the living together is not by finding some lowest common denominator. The living together, and it has actually been fairly successful, is to try realize that, hey, unlike your family, you can actually pick your friends and you can pick the co-workers, and open source is actually really good at that. Better so than many commercial software projects, because in a commercial setting, you're kind of stuck with your boss. In open source, find people you like. Find people you like working with. I work directly with, let's say, 20 people closely and 50 people more or less, right? There's every release, there's 1,000 people involved. Find somebody you like better than me. That's fine, right? I'm not willing to be less honest because I know I'm abrasive, right? And quite often the whole, like when I say something like, I wonder how he grew to be an adult when he's so stupid that I don't expect him to find food. Some people might realize that it's kind of hyperbole and jokey.
I'm not saying something bad that, you know, it's not politically correct or whatever, although certainly I would understand if people do say this. It's more about treating other people with respect and maybe saying technical.
You know what? I mean, you can applaud everything you want, but I don't respect people unless I think they deserve the respect. There are people who think that respect is something that should be given. And I happen to be one of the people who am perfectly happy saying no. Respect should be earned. And without being earned, you don't get it, right? It's really that simple. And not everybody agrees, and that's fine too, right? There are people I refuse to work with, right? It cuts both ways, and I realize that, right?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So that is Linus Torvalds. Linus Torvalds is the creator of Linux. So he is essentially the founder of the modern operating system. Almost every operating system built off of Linux nowadays. He is the best in the world, and he is a dick, a true dick. Like, I mean, you heard him. He literally talked about the fact that, you know, I'm surprised you made it to become an adult because you're too stupid to find food. Like, that is just who he is, and that's just how he is, and it's okay that he is that way and how he is, but you will never encounter a Linus Torvald in the workplace. Like, it just doesn't happen. But I will say that there are some people that will be dicks in, you know, I'm not to that level, and I never will be, especially because I've found, like, Buddhism, like, now very much learning how to be a Buddhist, and not become Buddhist, but be a Buddhist, like, live by the teachings of Buddha. So, like, understand where people are coming from, where they are, what they would want if you were in their position, all that stuff. whatever. Either way, but Linus Torvald is the quintessential like teen bully dev that exists, and the only thing is he's allowed to be because he is the best. So Linux is written in obviously C, right? It's written in C. He needs good devs to be building stuff, because if they aren't good devs, it will fail. So you will quickly, as you get into development, like software, you will quickly realize that there is a lot of what in the field, in the software engineering, no one, like almost no one, I shouldn't say no one, almost no one will look out for you. Like almost nobody. I somewhat look out for my junior engineer. I try to as much as I can, because I also don't want to train a new engineer. I don't want to teach engineer things. I absolutely hate teaching new engineer stuff. Only because it just is time that I have to dedicate to do. And that's kind of where like Linus Torvald kind of comes from, is like really, really, really good developers are kind of like that. Like they're kind of ass. And the reason they are that way is because they've been doing it for a long time, and it's really, really annoying to work with people that don't know what, because that means that you have to take the time to like teach them and train them, and sometimes that time just isn't. I have, like I was saying, I have a junior dev on my team right now that isn't the best, but I don't mind her. Like I'm trying to teach her as much as I can, but at the same time, sometimes she makes more work for me. Because she actually did make work for me though. Okay, happened was what was I doing? So there's something called a lockbox in the engineering field, and basically what a lockbox contains is it contains secrets. A lockbox contains secrets, so it contains secrets for like something, or it contains like client IDs. And the reason why this exists is it exists to essentially it exists to basically store these things, and then you access them via like my stuff is gonna fuck up. Really weird upload. This stupid so with like software, like I was saying, with like a lockbox, you store keys in it, and then and then you can retrieve the keys by like accessing it and whatever. And the whole purpose is there's only one way in, one way out kind of thing. And then you are able to log like who accessed lockbox and blah, blah, blah. And like essentially it allows you to have like everything stored centrally located and encrypted. And so we asked her to rotate our keys, specifically one key. We only needed her to rotate one thing. And we first, like, literally told her, like, do this in non-prod first, and we'll verify before you do it in production. Because we want to make sure that you doing, like, me, I'm usually the one that does it because me and my coworker, we wrote a script to just do this. So we gave her the script. And all it is you type a command and it does it. But you have to like plug in a little bit of it. You have to plug in which thing that you're rotating in. And he was like, well, I rotated one thing. And I was like, okay, well, let's get on a call and let's look at, let's see it rotated properly, because she was like, I don't know if it worked. Like, okay, let's get on a call. I got on a call and she had rotated our database credentials. And I was like, I don't think you were supposed to do that. I like literally didn't, I like thought about it. I'm like, pretty sure you're not supposed to do that. And then I like messaged my lead and I was like, just so you know, like, I'm pretty sure she did this. And he was like, well, what do you mean? I was like, well, if you get on a call, I'll tell you, like, show you what she did. And so he got on the call with us, and like then he like sat and explained to her what a lockbox does, because he was like, oh my god. So luckily for me, I was like, okay, I can figure out what the old credentials were. So I went and found the old credentials and like had her rotate them to the credentials that were there before. It was such a pain in the butt. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, which, like I said, it's fine. It's not a big deal. Like, it's just super frustrating to have that happen as like a senior, because then I had to sit and meet with her and like figure all this out, all that. Like, that's more what the frustration becomes as a is you just have that kind of thing happen. We even told her, don't do anything until we talk to you, until we see what you're doing. Don't do it. That was the worst part. I think that's the thing that made my lead the most mad, was we told her not to do stuff and she did it anyways. I was looking, because now I can do skeletal cleric. I think I'll just excuse me. The lucky thing actually for you though, Blake, is are going to target. And target, from what I know, is pretty like laid back. I will say, like, my work is not as laid back other places. Like my work is quote unquote, I don't believe this, but they're like, well, we're a top tier company that are top tier tile, that kind of crap, and that's kind of where our like thing comes from. That's where the like elitism comes from sometimes. I don't understand why I can't do that. I see. Oh, okay. I totally see. I fucked up. Okay. That's okay. I know. Like, where? What's up at? I noticed that the lines are a different color. That's why. I get the whole top tier talent speech quite a bit, though. I hate it. I hate that speech so much. Your top tier company hires top tier. Aye aye. That's why tomorrow I get my review. Can't wait to fucking be done with review season. And then review season comes right back up. Into your reviews, baby. The one thing in the engineering field you never want to see, though, is a performance improvement plan. Never ever be put on a pip. A pip is their way of firing you without fight. Sorry, laying you off. Can't call it firing because technically it's not firing. All right, boss time. Boss time.
But that makes you predictable. The time of the Faladin is nigh.
Get back in your hole.
Nice one.
One day, I'll bring
Yeah.
you back to serve.
Luckily, I do know that the target is pretty laid back. I don't know. Old coworker still works there. Did work. I don't know. Lightning button. I'm actually gonna just open the. Gotta click it.
As we approach the other, if you have blessings.
Here for a story? I will tell your tale.
The path to Desha. Go.
Okay. X-Men.
What?
Yeah, everything I know about Target, they're pretty. So. All right, last ad break of this. I think I can. Cleric. Dropped and reconnected again. All right, because it is due, I am going to just end for the night. Because based on that, based on what I'm, our frame rate is just, that's always fun. Anyways, okay. although back from ad break, I'm ending for the night, just because we are seeing some ups and downs with and so I'm gonna head out for the night. Oh, I need the final letter too. Got that. But we can do the Dreadnought. So we will finish up Act 2 Cruel as well as Act 3 Cruel probably tomorrow night. It should be very quick. I should be able to blaze through Act 3 as quick as possible. But tomorrow night, I hope to see everybody there. Until then, have a good night, everybody. And yeah, I think that's it. So find us out. Peace.